mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi, and she yells, "Oh, girl, you gotta hear this one." A man was arrested for running a theme park, and when they said, "Where's your license?" he said, "My dog ate it." Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one." Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, "You'll never guess what's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up." Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one."
Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. Today is something a little different for this channel. We're not just reacting to stuff, but we're comparing two different perspectives. Because what I've been seeing online does not match the lived experience that people seem to be having. And that gap is kind of where things get interesting. So today we're going to look at, in regards to Iran, the social media impact. We're going to look at some people who grew up in Iran, who are from that area, who currently live there. And then we're going to look at Western social media's response to it. And we're going to look at what I think is the most often overlooked issue in this, the big picture, because we don't look at anything through a narrow lens here. We try to look at the entire world. However, this is not about opinions. This is about narratives. So before I say hi to the chat, we just want to set a couple ground rules for this stream. Before we get into the clips, I need you guys to understand something. Two people can agree on most things and still have completely different ways of how they arrived at their opinions and things that they may not agree on at all. With that being said, that doesn't mean that either one of them is necessarily wrong. It means that they're starting from different experiences, and that is one of the reasons why I want to share multiple people's experiences here. We will be looking at videos from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and some Twitter feeds. Not very many, because there is a lot of social media content to sort through. But we're going to look at a few that I found very interesting. And if you don't understand the fact that you can agree to disagree on things, and there might be a larger picture and a lot of information that we don't know, you're going to misunderstand everything else that comes from this stream. But I appreciate y'all being here. And speaking of people being here, Unghung Hero, thank you for the 20 Squid Pro Quo memberships. I hope you and the missus are doing well. Please give me updates as you see fit on how things are going with you. And then who else is here? We have Title, yes, my super mod. I love all my mods, but Heidel is the one who shares when she sees that a stream is posted. She will share it to everybody's Discords, and I am ever so grateful for that. So please, if you enjoy this content where we're looking at a hot political topic, not from the political lens that you get on most streams. I try to take things differently because, one, I'm not normal. If you've been here for more than 5 minutes, you know that one. And secondly, if I do the same thing as everybody else, there's no fun in that. Oh, why did we knot our hair again? Okay.
No.
Okay, we're going to turn down the volume on this. There we go. All right. But Heidel, thanks for being you and doing everything and being the boss mod. And yes, I do have a discount code for the Tallow Truth. It is Beef Tallow Skincare. I love it. I'm obsessed. If you go to their website and use code SQUID, you get 15% off. They are a non-woke skincare company that's all natural. It's beef tallow. Jeffrey, how are you? All these Afroman. Yes, I'm a little late because I was over on Mo's stream watching the Afroman trial. I grew up in that area. I spent my formidable middle school and early high school in that area. So I, oy vey. It's weird when you're like looking at the names of people and you're like, do I have any mutual friends on Facebook? But I digress. Tammy, good to see you. Alicia. Oh, somebody's home early.
Daddy.
The iPad goes throwing and he's home. Mr. Squid is home 2 hours early. So, you know. Jeff, how are you? Andrea, good to see you. And I'm sorry if I miss anybody. I apologize. Dan Davis, good to see you. How are you doing? Yes, and this is a reminder, respectful debating differences of opinion is allowed here. As long as you're respectful to me, you're respectful to my mods and each other, we can agree to disagree. Because I know we're not always going to agree. Joe, can I ask you when you've been to those countries? I have not been to Iran, but I have been to Dubai more times than I can remember. I want to say 7, 6. My Bahrain port visits got canceled for reasons that most likely involve Iran. And I've been through the Strait of Hormuz no less than 8 times. So, you know, I am going to close my office door now that Mr. Squid is home and I don't have to also be in mama mode all the time. So I'm going to close my door. I will be right back. That worked out really well. Hey, Angel, can you close the door? Thank you. Love you. And Snipe Hunter, as always, it's so great to see you. Not by sea. Yeah, I went by water. I took the long way. Took the long way. So, hey, Sleepwatcher. Very interested in your take. And I do have my opinions. However, we're going to try to keep this from a logical perspective, because if you haven't followed me on this topic for very long, I did a stream last June on women's rights in Iran. And the thing that struck me about this is we have had issues with Iran for years. This is not a new, and my personal opinion, and this is just my little sidebar before we get into it, my personal opinion is that I believe that a lot of American lives have been taken due to Iranian antics shall you say, overseas and who they support. And this was bound to happen sometime in the last 40 years because every president has said they wanted to do it. And I've always been under the opinion of like or hate Trump, not my business what you think, but love him or hate him. He is one of the very few people that have said what what he wants to do and then actually does it. However, caveat to that, and I'm trying to be very tactful because I'm not trying to like alienate anybody, but when people are being like, well, he's America first, why is he doing this? There is a multitude of reasons that we will get into, but sometimes you have to protect yourself overseas and your interest. And this is not about the nukes. This is about who they support and what those terrorist groups that they have supported have done to American soldiers. How many American lives have been lost because of improvised explosive devices that people were given the money and resources to build by Iran? So whatever you think, there's a larger picture that I believe people are failing to see. And remember, the president, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because he doesn't make these decisions on his own. He has a team of generals and admirals and all them people who help make these decisions with him and for him. So we have to understand that even though we might have a clearance and we might have knowledge that other people don't have, we don't have all the answers and we don't have all the knowledge that they have. So it's one of those situations where it's a tread lightly because I'm not saying that all my opinions are right. And I don't even have all the answers. As a former service member, my opinion and my experiences as a sailor, being out on the water and being off the coast of Iran, is different than, say, a army soldier who was in Iraq or Afghanistan dealing with insurgency and all of that stuff. So my perspective, although informed, is still different from somebody else. So, all right. So we are going to go through some of these clips, but you're going to hear different perspectives, even from people who you would believe would think the same. Because reality, at the end of the day, is messy. And like we always say on this channel, even people who agree on a lot of things can disagree about how they arrived at their opinions. There is no one black or white answer. Life is almost always lived in the gray area. And once again, this is exactly where we find ourselves. So instead of looking at this situation going forward as left, right, wrong, black and white, yes or no, look at it as a nuanced gray area with a lot of information that we don't have. All right. So first clip we're going to look at, and this is where I have to, we're going to do, I have all these clips, like the link saved, and there's a lot of them, and some of them I'm not 100% sure that I wanted to use, and some of them I can't even remember where I saved them. So it's been a lot of digging through social media and giving myself a migraine. But the first one I wanted to look at was this guy. This is TikTok. I have a TikTok. I don't actively scroll TikTok unless I'm looking for something such as this. But this is an Iranian's perspective. If it'll
no war with Iran. Let's analyze the situation. U.S. attacks Iran along with Israel. And what does Iran do in response? It attacks 9 or 10 different countries surrounding Iran, all Muslim nations, all of the nations who advocated for the Islamic Republic and called the United States and told the United States president not to attack Iran. Now Iran is attacking civilian infrastructure, oil infrastructure, as well as military bases across the Middle East. Now imagine what this regime would do.
So think about, we're getting into his video, and we'll link everybody's videos in the description of the video so you can go and follow them, because these people deserve, well, most of them deserve to be followed. And hey, T3, how are you? I am not surprised based on this topic that my content is not being pushed by YouTube. One, it is different for my channel than I've done in a while. I've been doing a lot of drama reaction content for a while. And when I started my channel, I used to do a fact check the government because I hate being a former government employee. And the more trials I watch, the more anarchist I become. So, but this one, I'm not trying to cover it from a yes, no, who's right, who's wrong, but just an informative, let's listen to everybody's perspectives from people who grew up in that area. Because of the fact that it's funny on the internet sometimes you see people who have never left the United States are foreign policy experts because they have a platform. I am no foreign policy expert. I have been to 8 or 9 countries, 3 days at a time-ish, except for Dubai. Dubai was a repeat port visit. Bahrain's port visit got canceled because some people were doing some shit and we had to take care of it. So our port visit was canceled. However, being in the Gulf and being in that environment and going to a country where you don't look like anybody else and nobody speaks the language is not unusual to me. I understand that there is a lot of nuance to life that I don't have the answers to as a white woman in America. I'm not saying that white privilege exists. However, U.S. privilege exists. What we view as oppression in this country is not oppression if you compare it to places like Iran, South Africa, North Korea, multiple places around the country or around the world. What we view as, oh my God, I'm oppressed because someone called you by the wrong pronouns or misgendered you is not the same as being killed because you have the wrong opinion. So that's my goal with these streams, is to enlighten people who may not know. Oh, girl, you got buried. Yeah, I got buried. I got buried. Plus, there's a lot of people who are still streaming the Afroman trial. So even though the verdict came back, it is still very fun to watch because it's just ridiculous. 6 Adams County, Ohio sheriff's deputies with oh my God, he was mean to me on the internet. If someone was mean to you on the internet, oh, welcome to my everyday life. Yes, Joe, it is a night and day difference. Yes, we're spoiled and we don't realize how spoiled we are until you go places where, yes, people are very nice and the culture is amazing in other places. However, when you look at median household incomes and you look at different things, cost of gas per se, things are different and you don't realize how good you have it until you don't have that anymore. Yeah, and sometimes I that's part of my thing though, is like, I never try to tell anybody how to think. However, I just give people all the information. And I realize that our mainstream media, why not entirely fake news, will only give you one side of things. Will only tell you what they want you to hear, what makes them feel good. Sometimes I will show you things on here that I don't even like, that don't make my side look good, but it's the truth. And you just gotta, You got a great build up and backstory. I'm waiting to see where you're coming from. And I can't say that I'm an expert in this. I am not a foreign policy expert. My degree is in occupational therapy. I just like to listen to people who don't agree with me. I like to listen to other people's perspectives and where they're coming from and learn from them. Because, like, I'm a white woman from Wisconsin. I only have so much perspective, you know? So getting back into what he's saying.
If he actually had a nuclear weapon, they will burn the world down before they have to go. In addition to the 40,000 people dead inside of Iran, that number is probably much higher. Iran is back to taking its aggression out on its people again. Again, they can't fight their battles. So the only people they know how to effectively kill is Iranians, unarmed civilians. The Islamic regime is back in the streets, threatening people, sending messages to people, and shooting them at plain sight with no questions asked. Which is a segue into the next topic. Any other country, this amount of people would come out and revolt and protest against the government, you would see somebody resign. You would see somebody get fired. You would see some kind of speech, some kind of reform. But what does the Islamic Republic do? They rush to elect a new supreme leader. Now, look, I'm an Iranian born. I went to school in Iran. I've seen indoctrination with my own eyes. It's for that reason that before I left Iran, long before I learned about Cyrus the Great and the Persian culture, I was learning more about Prophet Muhammad. I'm not sure how that helps a 9-year-old, but I was learning Arabic inside of Iranian schools. Well, I don't speak Arabic. I speak Farsi. So why?
Interesting how the people from that area, the actual culture is not Islamic. Sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Squid is taking care of something and Mama Duty's got a Mama Duty, if you know what I mean. So take a quick break. I apologize for interrupting the stream, but y'all know I love you. However, mom life comes first. Be right back.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals that take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning is the afternoon. We lay awake in bed. The glass so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be, we're gonna be two hearts running wild. The moonlight, summer sky, it was the best we ever had. And we'll stay young forever. We'll never have regrets.
you for your patience and cooperation. That took way longer than it should have because there was an epic mom failure involved in this. Epic mom failure in the most messy of ways that I can't even describe to you right now. However, I've traumatized myself and had to scrub my hands like 4 times. So, you know. And hey, Kasha, thanks for the $2 super chat. Love for the little sending love and hugs. I hope you are doing well. Yes, I did. Shani made that for me a long time ago. So, yes. All I'm gonna say. Laura's clean. I'm clean. It's good now. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, we're still on the Miralax protocol. So every day until April 1st. Oh, so getting back into this gentleman's TikTok. He's from there. He grew up there, was taught Islam. But it's just things that like make you go, And also, going back to what he said at the beginning, for some reason, I don't know about y'all, but attacking people who are supposed to be my allies, probably not the brightest idea.
Is it a mandate for me to take an Arabic course inside of a school in Iran? And if the Iranian people struggle just doesn't do it for you, why don't you go ask the Yemenis how they feel about the Houthis and the 400,000 people that have roughly died, either directly because of the actions of the Houthis or died because of famine or lack of healthcare. A group that's directly funded and armed by the Islamic Republic. Anything that the Islamic Republic touches turns to ashes. It dies. This regime has got to go. Now, if you want to really understand the Islamic Republic, you have to understand its founder, Ruhollah Khomeini. What does this guy say in the Islamic Republic Constitution? He says, quote unquote, "We do not worship Iran. We worship Allah. I say, let the land burn if it means that Islam will triumph." If that doesn't define an occupation for you, I'm not sure what will. This is not a government that is somehow mismanaging or accidentally mismanaging Iran. They are deliberately destroying Iran because they are not of Iranian descent. For all the people that see the videos of the regime sympathizers, the regime mullah offspring and beneficiaries inside of Iran that are, hitting themselves in the head, beating their chest, crying for the prophet or crying for Khamenei, I wouldn't feel too bad for these people. You see, this is just a regular Tuesday for these people. You can't have any joy in that culture. You can't have any fun. You have to gather around, beat yourself in the chest, wearing all black, with some weird, sweaty guy singing on a mic, cry singing. That's how it's supposed to bring you closer to God. I always thought that shit was so eerie. And I thought it was more demonic than anything. You see, the Islamic Republic is nothing but a disease, a cancer that's spread worldwide. It's for that reason that when I post something about Iran and I say, hey, free my people, stop killing my people, some Sayed or Abdullah from Pakistan will comment, free Palestine, as if it was Iranians who killed Palestinians. Anyways, us Iranians, we're thankful for Donald Trump. We're thankful for the United States military for taking action against the mullahs. I'm so happy about.
Okay, and I'm going to end it right there because he goes into a little bit of the political side, thankful for people. And while I may agree or disagree with that, it's not exactly what this stream is about. However, this is just one person's perspective. We have to remember that this is only one person's perspective. However, here is another one. This is from Facebook. So this is her perspective. And when you have so many tabs open, apologize. So
when I was 11 years old, and why that moment changed my life forever. My parents fled after the revolution, similar to so many of us in the diaspora, when I was only 2 years old. For nearly a decade, my family didn't return. We were scared. We were scared of what would happen if we went back. But when I was 11, my mother decided that it's time. I remember getting off that plane. And how terrified I was. I had grown up on these stories of the revolution and the regime, and stories that said that if you showed your hair, you would be whipped. 100 lashes, my cousins would tell me. I was so scared that I had tucked away every single piece and strand of my hair under my scarf, and I had knotted it around my neck so tightly that my cousins would actually laugh at me. I guess when you live in fear all the time, it becomes normalized. What I didn't expect, what surprised me more than anything, is how deeply I would fall in love with the country, with our people, with the culture, with our heritage, with my family. When I got off that plane, there was a sea of people waiting for our arrival, crying, tears of joy to see us, people I've never met before. You have never seen hospitality, compassion, and love like that of the Iranian people, even under oppression, even under cruelty. That trip taught me courage. It taught me bravery. It taught me the power and the importance of kindness in the most unkind conditions. When it was time to leave, I begged my mother not to take me back to Canada. I wanted to stay in Iran with my cousins. I had never felt that kind of belonging, that kind of love in my life. I cried, I pleaded, I asked her to leave me there. Of course she didn't. But something shifted in me on that trip, something permanent. At 11 years old, I learned not to take life for granted. I understood in my bones that my parents fled so that I could have a chance at life. And ever since then, I've prayed that one day, all of my Persian sisters and brothers will get that chance too.
You notice how she says Persian? I mean, Iranian people, but Persian. Not Islamic, Persian. Farsi is the language of these people who are forced to learn a language that is not native to their country. And this is just another perspective, her perspective on where she's coming from with all of this. However, then you get into stuff like, and I'm trying to find, this is what I lost. I saved a whole bunch of, this is how much I don't use Facebook, is I saved a bunch of clips in my Facebook, and I can't figure out how to find them. Do you ever get like that where you're like, where's all my stuff? So I do have pages that I saved, and I just don't know where I saved all of them. Here we go. This is where things start to get interesting and is kind of political, but not in the traditional sense, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's one of those situations where, like, you save stuff thinking it's going to be easy to find, and then the app or the website updates, and where you saved it was not where it is. However, this woman, and you two are Facebook never starts
So
saying
funny that non-Iranians know more about Iran, non-Venezuelans know more about Venezuela, and non-Cubans know more about Cuba. I find it.
And that's kind of my whole point, and why I'm sharing information to learn from it, not to necessarily give my personal opinion, because of the fact that I am not from there. I can read things, hear things, see things all day, but like, that's not I'm not from there. So to tell the people who are from there what they should think about a situation, as I'm sitting back here in my nice house with a steady income in where I know that I'm probably safe, and if I'm not, I have the right to defend myself. To tell someone else from a part of the world what they should be thinking is stupid to me. And I'm not trying to get overly political, but to tell someone else what their thoughts should be when that is not my lived experience is just a step too far. Yeah. Yeah. You know, when you are watching, like, scrolling through Facebook Reels, you can save them. The hard part about it is it seems like with every update, Facebook moves where the saved link is. And nations joined the war this morning. Oil's gonna drop, and the thing about it is, we're gonna get to that. It's me. I have a thing. I have a thing. Bye, Tammy. Have a good day at work. This person right here. Are these
Friends, admitting you were wrong.
So this is a 2-minute video. We'll get into this, and I'm just gonna let it, you know.
To our left-wing friends, admitting you were wrong does not make you a right-winger or a Nazi.
It makes you a better person.
Look, I don't like Trump either, and he never admits that he's wrong. But he gets some very basic things right. Like women don't have penises, or Islamists really fucking suck.
For almost 50 years, we tried to warn you about this unholy alliance of Islamists and the left.
It was European progressives like Michel Foucault who called the Islamic Revolution political spirituality just because they were against capitalism.
But when the mullahs were in power, the left-wing revolutionaries were the first to be executed and women suppressed.
But instead of ever admitting mistakes, the European left went silent.
The term Islamophobia was invented by Ayatollah Khomeini to silence every criticism of radical Islam, even when they did this to women.
Progressive followers of Foucault instead invented theories of power and gender.
This gave us Queers for Palestine, and you called the diverse tiny Jewish state white colonialist.
But you know who is the real white imperialist oppressor today? This guy. Listen to Ukrainians.
Communism fucking sucks. Listen to Venezuelans.
Socialism sucks. And now it's time to listen to Iranians.
Sharia really fucking sucks.
Just admit you were wrong. It's time to grow a spine and fix our past mistakes.
All we want is for Europe to stand up for its own values.
Free Iran now!
And once again, these are just people's perspectives. I don't know if everything that they were saying was true. However, I can agree that certain things suck and certain terms have been invented to quash things and make it all about feelings. And I'm sorry, where I will get a little... The Queers for Palestine thing just gets me every time, because regardless of whatever you think of the Palestine situation, I am not a geopolitical expert. I don't know. However, I would not be advocating for a place that would throw me off of a roof for who I want to sleep with. The irony there is just something I just don't understand. And hey, Harry, how are you? Some of the stuff that guy says is so wrong. Which guy? These two or Trump? Because no one's 100% right all the time. But it's just, like I said, these are people's perspectives, not necessarily everything that I agree with. But in order to learn, we have to see things that we may or may not agree with. And there is, this is where I find it really interesting. I found this one. So this one is very interesting to me, in the sense of people who are against this solely for the fact that they hate Trump. This is one that I found very interesting, and I don't know what this guy, I have never seen his content before, what he thinks, if he's a left wing, right wing, whatever. Listen to what he says, though. Here.
The Situation Room in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself.
Because I'm here to tell you that no, these are two wings of the same bird, especially when it comes to I-State. Democrats nor Republicans can refuse the demands of I-State. They all get in line. They all sign the checks.
And when he's saying I-State, I'm assuming he's referring to Israel. That's a lot of things people are talking about these days. I don't really have an opinion on that because I don't know. And I'm not about to speculate on something that I don't have enough information for. Because that's how I end up wrong, and that's how I end up making a fool of myself and having to apologize. And Lord knows that it's better just not be wrong than have to apologize.
It doesn't matter who the president is. And I think that went over a lot of people's heads because, as you guys just saw, that was last year while she was on her campaign run, giving her over obedience to I-State. She chose her words kindly and strategically, right? To let the viewers know and let her donors know that I am with you all the way. I, as president, will let you bomb the hell out of whoever you want to also, okay? So I'm tired of that argument, especially in the Black community. I'm gonna speak for my community. Black people think that Kamala would have been a better choice because she's not as war hawkish. You guys, anybody, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? When the people in them suits call your phone and tell you, this is what you're gonna do, this is the mission, they do it, okay? All of them, go back, they all follow the rules. That's something that a lot of people are waking up to, but it's a lot of us who are still stuck on stupid and don't understand the game that's being played. It's two wings of the same bird. I hate to be so fucking cliche about it, but that's the easiest way that we can get Americans to understand what game is being played right in front of our faces. There was no better choice. It was either the Democrat.
And I don't necessarily agree with everything he's saying here, but I can agree with the fact that Republican or Democrat, it's all the same bullshit wrapped into one. Like, there's very few people that actually give a crap about the average person in America. If you're a politician, they go to Washington and they forget the reason that they're there. They claim to until it comes time to vote, and then they vote for their donors or their pockets. It happens all the time. It doesn't matter if the person has a R, an I, or a D behind their name. They all suck. So I can agree with that part. But it also proves my point that I brought up earlier, that people have wanted to protect Israel and get rid of Iran for 47 years. This is not new. This is not a Republican thing. This is not a Democrat thing. Every president has said it. Only one person has actually done it. So, yeah, I don't agree with anything he said. I do agree with the fact that it's the same side of, like, two sides of the same coin. But it's I'm not sure I agree with everything about Israel that he is saying, but this is why we are looking at various perspectives. The West perspective, that it's all about Israel, and the East, or the Iranian perspective, that it's like, no, guys, like, talk about all the people who have been killed. And you can just see the dichotomy of the perspectives that just are. And then you get this. And then you get, and once again, when I say war with Iran, this is not a war. Like, this is not a war. Like, we know what a war is. The US has not declared war since 1945. So, yeah, they showed their colors yesterday at the Save America Act. That's a whole nother. I've wanted to do a stream on that, but I'm like, it's side note with the Save America Act, the same party that says they don't know what a woman is, same party that wants a woman to be president, also thinks that a woman isn't stupid enough or isn't smart enough to share her marriage license that proves that her name is different from that on her birth certificate. The what? You want a woman to be president. You say you want women to have everything that men have, but yet you think women are too stupid to figure out how to get an ID. I just can't understand certain things. So no, the Korean War wasn't even a war. It was technically a police action. And it was in 1953. Korean War was 49 to 53. So, you do a stream like that and YouTube will hit your channel hard. That's what I used to stream about when I first started my channel. I used to take a bill, take the headlines that were being talked about with that bill, read the bill, pick out passages of the bill that debunked the media narrative. So, yeah, Korea wasn't a war, it was police action. Same thing with Vietnam. Technically, Vietnam, nobody ever declared war. Nobody ever declared war. The Congress, when they say Congress needs to declare war, Congress hasn't declared war since 1945. We're talking about 81 years here since Congress has actually declared war. So when they go, war, this is a war. No, this isn't. This is strategic strikes, just like Obama with Syria, Biden with Syria, Biden with like 8 other, or Obama with like 8 other countries. This is not a war. Yeah, 1949. Iran Persia wants to control the Middle East like they do their own people. It's Shia versus via Sunni thing. Israel is the convenient target to rile up their people. Yeah, okay, not to side with Israel on anything, because I really don't know, and I reserve judgment until I have more facts. However, I just find it interesting that the population of, in the Middle East, the population of Muslim countries versus the population of a Jew, like, and the size of the one Jewish country in the entire world versus how many Muslim countries, how many Christian countries, every other religion, and they act like this one small piece of land is like the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. That screams very little man with a mustache to me. Yeah, we were advisors in Vietnam. The bullets were real though. Yeah. And technically all war, all military action is a moneymaker for greedy people. But this one is just, this one got me. Like, I'm just like, huh? Oh, and I hate when they don't.
And the reason why they don't want it is because they know what it's actually about.
Right.
This is a war that's being pushed by Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
He's been trying to make this war
Okay, as much as I'm just like, Trump doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself, in the sense of he is not going to be pushed around by people if he doesn't think that I don't like the man all the time, but I have learned enough about psychology and his personality to know that he is an alpha. He is not going to be pushed around by anybody smaller than him. I don't think that anybody is pulling puppet strings with him, because he puts everything out on fucking Truth Social and Twitter. Like, no, he like that's the only thing that I'm like when people are like, he's this or he did this or somebody's pulling the puppet strings. I'm like, you realize how much this man loves himself? He would never let anybody else make damn decisions for him because that would be putting somebody else in control. And that man just can't have it. Just saying. But
Happened for almost 30 years. This is a war that's being pushed by the Saudis, who have also wanted this war to happen. Two nations that are happy to watch American blood be expended on their behalf. This war is also being pushed because Donald Trump is in the Epstein files.
I really hope this gets back to Trump because I don't know who this guy is. However, Graham Plattner for Senate. I would really, really, really love to read that lawsuit because when you say he's in the Epstein files, that right there is defamation. That defamation. Like, no, you called someone but here's where the kicker is though. Like, he says it's in the Epstein files. Yeah, his name is mentioned because Epstein had TDS, severe TDS. So it's just, yeah. Today I'm counseling 4 veterans who are victims of various roadside IEDs in Afghanistan. They all firmly believe Iran is responsible for the IEDs. Those vets want Iran destroyed. Yeah, remember in like 2019, 2020, when all of a sudden headlines climb up Iranian speedboats in the Strait of Hormuz chasing American ships. That shit's not new. That shit goes all the way back to at least 2006. Like, like 2006. And if I could get Mr. Squid to stop, I'm sure he would remember that too. So Iran's been a problem for a long time. This is not new. It's just one of the first people who is finally, it's just, I'm just waiting for the lawsuit to drop. I really hope this got back to Trump because that would be hella content.
And other people in the White House and other people connected with the Epstein class, they are terrified that we have noticed what they are doing. They're terrified that we're going to start wondering why the hell we let them stay in power. Nobody wants this war.
There are dozens of people in the files that had nothing to do with the creepy island but had business relationships. Hell, there are a dozen tapes of meetings with these folks. Yeah, where's the truth? Provide your evidence because, provide your evidence because evidence speaks. Just someone's name mentioned in there. There's hundreds of people who are mentioned in there who had nothing to do with anything. And also, Trump cut off Epstein, if we really want to go there, 2 years before he bought the island. So, But then we get to the world perspective. And these are headlines. This is a creator who I've never seen before, but he kind of he's got that Steve Gosney look going on.
I just literally searched Iran and the news. The allies are being rebuffed. Airspace is closing. Trump is asking for help. He's all frustrated. Meanwhile, Al Jazeera, not the most America-friendly outlet in the world, is talking about how the U.S.-Israeli strategy is working. Here's the Middle Eastern professor behind this article, Professor Saloom, literally writing from Doha in Qatar, which is in the neighborhood.
Oh, and for those of you who don't know,
Of
this right here is the Strait of Hormuz. Right there. It's kind of not fun to go through, but
Iran, as you notice. He says that the dominant narrative in American outlets is that the United States and Israel just stumbled into a war, totally without a plan. Now Iran is retaliating, oil prices are surging, it's all messed up, and we might be there forever. These assertions are honestly just so wild, I almost have to laugh. It's just crazy where American media has gotten, because when you look at what's actually happened, Iran's military power, like their missiles, their nuclear weapons, their air defenses, their navy, it's all being systematically degraded. It's almost like the most sophisticated military in the world was trying to degrade their military capabilities. So I set out to confirm his assertions with external sources. Here is one saying that Iran's military arsenal is really low already. Another one displaying a nuclear arsenal place that we bombed that they were trying to hide from us. Now we're sending in these huge, slow planes, B-52s with a bunch of bombs on them because we don't have to worry about them getting shot out of the sky because we control the airspace in Iran. Okay, another external source confirming that we are destroying a lot of their navy. Another external source confirming that their navy has had all of their most prominent, important ships destroyed. Now they are reduced to a few submarines and coastal missile launchers. At the beginning, Iran was shooting 350 missiles a day, now 25. They were launching 800 drones a day, now 75. I mean, that's a big drop. And then the American media has the gall to say that the Trump administration didn't know that Iran was going to close the Strait of Hormuz. From what I've learned, it seems like every American administration knows the first thing Iran is going to do is close the Strait of Hormuz. The problem is, that also cuts off their way to make 90% of their country's revenue. And now in Iran, basically all their leadership is messed up because the supreme leader was eliminated. He was coordinating all the terrorist groups. His son is now in power, but that's a dynastic transfer, which is kind of against the Islamic Republic. And the IRGC's leader was killed. So Iran's having some leadership problems. So Iran is out of missiles. Their nuclear sites have been badly damaged, if not totally destroyed. Now we can send B-2 bombers because we control the sky. Their navy has been basically eliminated and their leadership all messed up. Yet American outlets are going to report it like this. As Professor Saloom tells us, that is simply not true. It is working. And I know...
And Al Jazeera has never really been our friend. If you watched any of their coverage before on a lot of stuff, they are not our friend. So the fact that they're reporting it the way they are is very interesting. But there's a couple of things that come from this that, and I didn't play all the videos I wanted to, but, yeah. However, we've all seen clips of people from here saying things when they've never been able to point out Iran on a map. So we see this pattern over and over again of people making strong conclusions based on limited information. Epstein files being one of them. It's a lot of people's names without the actual documents or the information. You take it and you run with it and you think you have a whole story when all you have is a small piece of a puzzle. But when that happens and people make their conclusions based on limited information, it stops being about reality and starts being about a narrative. And you've also seen this with certain groups that are usually very boisterous in this country, either go quiet or they only engage in a topic when it fits their narrative. Women's, as we've discussed in the last couple streams, women's rights and US feminists. They're the loudest group of people in America. However, they only get loud when something supports their narrative of life. If something goes against their narrative, where are they on women's rights in Iran? Whether you're for or against any sort of military action in Iran, where are you speaking up about women's rights and the protesters' rights in Iran? You go silent when it goes against your narrative that you've convinced yourself. So with that also, you have a lot of people online thinking they understand strategy, military order, the way orders come down, economics, that have never been outside of the country. And you saw this, the last clip we showed, show the difference between foreign media, who generally hates us. Al Jazeera has never really been our friend. and the way the American media is reporting things. It's so crazy, the difference. And this is why it's important to do your own research and not just look at a 60-second clip on TikTok and think you have all the information. Things are given to influencers, they make a video on it, and people believe them. Just because you have a lot of followers does not mean that you shouldn't be fact-checked. And this is why I don't claim to have all the answers, because I don't know. I only have a limited bit of information. But I don't make conclusions based on just my limited base of information, based on being a white woman in America, where I have all my rights. However, let's zoom out, because in the grand scheme of things, this is not about the small picture. We have to look at that big picture that I brought up at the beginning of the stream. So this is where things get kind of interesting, and I'm closing some of my tabs to clear my brain from all the stuff we just talked about. So everybody, or a lot of people, see Russia as the problem. And you saw in one of those videos, he pointed out Putin. Here's the issue and the larger picture. China and Russia are generally seen as the problem, where people are like, Iran, not our problem, not our problem. China is dependent for a lot of things. They have a heavily reliance on imported oil, approximately, based on the sources that I can find, 13% from Iran, 4 to 5% from Venezuela. So when those regions become unstable, China gets nervous. And here's the difference between being a producer and being reliant. When you're dependent on other people, when other economies get unstable, you become unstable. Russia, on the other hand, unfortunately, exports 7 to 8 million barrels a day. Approximately, these are just rough numbers that I could find through my research. Yeah, the larger picture is China was buying oil with them, not anymore. Exactly. They put the cart before the horse, but yes. So when a country is able to produce its own energy and is not reliant on everybody else, it's leverage and it's influence. And this is where the US comes in, because this is another issue that I see people talk about all the time. It's not politics. It's not just about the money. It's definitely not as simple as, oh, they hate the environment, or drill, baby, drill, as someone said in the beginning of last year. This is about global power and power dynamics. The more energy independent a country is, the less vulnerable it is to instability. Like, oh, we attack Iran and all of a sudden our gas jumps. Well, if we were energy independent and we weren't reliant on other people for oil, that does not happen as easily. Energy is not just economics, it's strategy. So kind of looking at all of this and all the different narratives, like, just wait till the dollar is tied to crypto, and God, I hope not. Yeah, well, this is where it's like, it requires the bigger picture, because when we get so narrow focused on one thing, we lose perspective. And like, people are like, well, Russia, 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 China, China, China. Well, guess where China is dependent on? Venezuela and Iran. Venezuela and Iran. What has happened in the last 3 months? Just saying. Just think about, just think about where people get things from. And that's also another reason why I think it's important for us to be independent. because it's not about isolating ourselves. It's about not having to rely on the instability of other markets. So when Russia or China or somebody does something, we don't feel the effects as much and we have more leverage. So where am I what does all this mean? We just looked at a bunch of different reactions. And I couldn't Google or YouTube and TikTok too many because I will screw up my algorithm and then I will be stuck on that side of TikTok or that side of Twitter for my entire life, and I don't do it. However, when you look at people's opinions, look at their lived experience. Is this person coming from a place of learning, education, teaching people their lived experience, or is this coming from a place of a person who doesn't have all the information, tries to spin it to get you to think what they want you to think? I would love if everybody agreed with me, but fuck, that shit's not going to happen. That's not the way the world works. So all I can do is present both sides of an argument and present more information than what you're getting in the mainstream media. Because not even Fox News will give you all the information that you need. This is why it's important to research. And one is a lived experience and the other is an interpretation based on what you're shown, what's amplified, and how the story is framed. And that is not always the same thing as what's actually going on. And that's the whole hour and 10 minutes now, is it comes down to that. The issue isn't that people care or don't care. It's that the loudest voices aren't always the ones that are the closest to reality. Just because you get out there and you yell at the top of your lungs. I saw a video the other day of someone yelling or preaching about how veterans shouldn't get discounts. It's a complete side note. But she was loud and she was clapping between each word. Just because you are loud, just because you yell, does not mean that your information is correct. It does not mean that your perspective is accurate. Just because you are the squeakiest wheel does not mean that you are the closest person to the reality of the situation. So, takeaway that I want everybody to think about is this question. Are we listening to the people who have a real lived experience, or are we listening to the people who are trying to get us to think a certain way just because they do? Are we listening to the people who force the limited information that they have into the narrative that they already believed? I did that makeup stream 2 weeks ago where we had talked about, I did not realize that a makeup brand that I used, not frequently, but used, was based in Dubai and sold millions and millions of dollars worth of product to Iranian women. I had no idea. I changed my views on using that product ever again. But it was like, we have these preconceived notions as Americans on what we think is right and wrong and what we think is other people's lived experience. And we've seen that our media does not provide accurate information. They tell us what they want us to believe. And not everybody takes the time to go out and change what they believe. So, is the like button kind of like a tip jar? Oh yes, if you did like this stream or this topic or the way I covered this topic, please let me know. If you hated the way I talked about this topic, please respectfully let me know that too. Oh, crazy Butter Mercury, I'm so sorry. When my daughter was unalived, I learned a very hard lesson about mainstream news. I'm learning that there's a faction of my viewers who have been in a situation that I hope, and in a club that I hope never to join. Yeah, not to tell you what to watch, but if you're from and Crazy About a Mercury, I'm so sorry. If you are familiar with Captain Kern, I did a stream or a series of streams a year and a half ago now, or a little over a year ago, about his daughter who was tragically unalived in a DV situation. So, it on the last page of any news program at the very bottom, it says this is for entertainment only. Yeah. The regurgitation of a clear fabrication is what pisses me off. Malcolm X, love or hate, he was right saying the media was the biggest propaganda machine on earth. Yeah, and I think it was Joseph Goebbels who said something along the lines of, paraphrasing here, because I don't remember the exact quote. If you repeat a lie enough times, people will start to believe it as the truth. Oh, Crazy About a Mercury. Now, okay. I'm sorry. I knew your name from somewhere. I just could not remember. So, I'm sorry. Her daughter seemed super sweet, and I'm so sorry for that to happen. So, I knew I had seen your name somewhere, and I'd seen you before. I just couldn't place it. You know, it's crazy when you're like, you see people in a different chat, or when like you're doing a different stream, and then when you're trying to focus and people's names that you haven't seen in a while, and you're like, can't place the name. No, I've seen it. I apologize. Drive-by Media, Rush Limbaugh. And hey, Calvin, how are you? All right. So I'm going to see where I can send you guys on YouTube. Hope everybody. Oh, I also T3, if you're still listening, one of the reasons that I probably didn't the stream didn't get pushed is I did not send any or put any hashtags next to it like I normally do. So I usually do a little bit better job of setting it up. I did not today. Yeah, right here. Gail says it better than me. It's the club no one should belong to. Let's see. Let's see who else is live. Spawn Trooper. Oh, I'm back. A quick coffee and massive gloat. Oh, great. This should be interesting. Well, hugs to you. And thank you. I mean, this one, and Gail, I know you said I should post these sooner, but I'm literally like, I don't have a thumbnail until I develop what I'm actually talking about. And I take time to develop what I'm actually talking about to make sure that I've like looked at things. I didn't have all the clips because the idea of searching for clips on social media kind of is exhausting some days, but it takes time and like to develop, and I'm like writing things down, writing notes, and then like I'm going to scratch out these notes and write something else, and I literally go back and forth with what I'm going to stream about until about 20 minutes before the stream. And even that, I don't have like, I have like an outline of what I'm going to talk about, but I don't word for word script things because I take it as, you know, but I have points that I want to hit, but I literally don't. I started doing this 3 days ago where I started writing things down and trying to organize my thoughts on this because it's crazy busy. Like there's so much information that there's stuff coming out. I can't even. Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. It's getting better. First of all, I'm working on first things first. Just getting better at streaming instead of like just reading something and reacting to it. I'm actually trying to research, which is taking a little bit more time. However, the stream we did on Tuesday with the Bangor crash, there will be an update and a follow-up stream sometime to that because Mr. Squid gave me a person's name who wrote a bunch of books for thermodynamics and aerodynamics and stuff, and it sent me down a massive rabbit hole. So it probably won't be for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month before I set up that next stream or make that video. However, he gave me the name of an author of a book, and he said it was really good information, and I've been Googling, and it's sent me down a rabbit hole. With that being said, when I dive down a rabbit hole, sometimes I forget to bring my my climbing gear, and it's yeah, you know, stuff's good. Well, I see the thing is I haven't touched an aircraft to work on it since 2011, 2010 or 2011. Mr. Squid hasn't touched an aircraft since like he got home from work. So it's, you know, we're changing. It shows now each stream. Everyone helps Squid share streams. Yes, thank you. I'm trying. Like, you know, you gotta evolve, because if you stay the same, things get boring. But y'all go tell Spawn that I said hi. Tell him I sent y'all, and have a great rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow on some updates on some cases and some possible new cases that I want your interest and opinion in. Hey, General T, how are you? Long time no see. Aerodynamics tells us it's impossible for honeybees to fly. Yeah. Well, on that note, y'all have a great day, and I will see you guys on the next.